That was in West Virginia right there. Ruby red, West Virginia. People are rising up against the Trump regime. That was the Fight the Oligarchy tour. You see Senator Bernie Sanders right there. I'll do a full take on that speech given by Senator Bernie Sanders. So that's what's happening in West Virginia. That's got Donald Trump panicking. And even though crime is down significantly in Washington, D.C., violent crime down 26%, homicides down 12%, assault with dangerous weapons down 20%. Donald Trump posting this during this morning's a post fest by him, panic post fest. He goes, on Monday, a press conference will be held at the White House, which will essentially stop violent crime in Washington, D.C. It has become one of the most dangerous cities anywhere in the world. It's not true. It will soon be one of the safest. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President DJT. Well, we've got a felon in the White House. We have a sexual abuser in the White House. We have someone covering up for a sex trafficking ring in the White House. So that's most alarming of all. But Donald Trump wants to take over Washington, D.C. with the National Guard, with the Marines, turn it into a totally militarized zone a la North Korea. And already we have tourism down in the United States, 30 to 40% from Canada and elsewhere. I think this is just going to encourage more people to stay the hell out of the United States. And really, Donald Trump wants people to stay the hell out. He doesn't care as long as he grifts and gets handed gold blocks by CEOs like Tim Cook. What a pathetic move that was by Tim Cook. I understand he has fiduciary obligations to his company, but you have responsibilities as a human being, Tim Cook. And you handing Donald Trump a gold bar in exchange for exemptions really is something that's going to go down in history. I don't care how rich you are, Tim Cook, you will be remembered for that gesture as a very pathetic individual. But Donald Trump just wants his golden bar bribes and things like that as he prepares for, the parties of the oligarchs, as he tells others, let them eat cake. Here's what we're seeing right now at the White House today. More chairs and tables are being added to the Rose Garden, which they ripped to shreds. They're now having these events. One of the questions are, do Trump donors get $1 million to meet at the White House? You'll see that used to be the Rose Garden right there. Now Donald Trump throws private parties for his rich oligarchs while screwing over the rest of Americans as things are less affordable, as housing is less affordable, as groceries are more expensive and less affordable, and as Donald Trump is selling out Ukraine. And there's no other way to describe what Donald Trump has done to Zelensky and Ukraine as anything but a total sellout, bringing Putin to Alaska next Friday, cutting Zelensky out of the discussion, allowing there to be a bilateral negotiation with Putin, with Europe not there, with Zelensky not there, on American soil. And as a precondition for the meeting, Putin demanded that Donald Trump say that his position would be that Ukraine would have to give up huge portions that Russia does not even control right now, areas that are so critical to Ukrainian defense. Under Donald Trump's plan, all of that would be given to Russia. Here's how it's being reported. Ukraine would have to give up 25% of Donetsk that Russia has thus far failed to capture in exchange for a promise of no future aggression. These areas are heavily fortified against Putin, so you would basically be giving Putin a straight shot to then conquer all of Ukraine. Moscow would gain territory and the lifting of sanctions in exchange for a ceasefire to conquer the territory that it has not conquered thus far, and the important fortified territory to then allow it to take over the rest of Ukraine. It's quite literally the worst deal ever. As my buddy Jay in Kyiv writes, Trump wants Ukraine to award Russia new territories that they haven't even yet approached in exchange for merely opening negotiations. Is Trump just effing stupid or just eager for more Russian cash? It's one of these or both. I think the answer is clearly both. One of the things to mention as well is that Donald Trump's envoy to Russia is a guy named Steve Witkoff. Steve Witkoff is one of Donald Trump's real estate buddies. No foreign experience, no diplomatic experience. Again, he's just one of Donald Trump's real estate people, very Trumpy his whole life, this Witkoff guy. He uses the KGB translator as well, not the United States translator. He puts his hand over his heart when he sees Putin. And then he came back and he's like, I've got a great deal, everybody. This was your deal to basically have Ukraine fully surrender. So I'm going to do a whole video of this as well. But President Zelensky of Ukraine has spent the whole day reaching out to his allies in Europe, the real defenders right now of democracy, not the United States. He's reached out to President Macron in France, Prime Minister Keir Starmer in the UK. He's reached out to the leaders of Spain. He's reached out to the leaders of Germany. He's reached out to the leaders of Poland. He's reached out to the leaders of Denmark. He's making phone calls the whole day to everybody and solidifying his support to stop what Trump is doing right now. Jay posts the following as well. Here's the cycle of Trump. Trump sets a deadline. Deadline arrives. Putin offers meetings, negotiations. Meetings occur in which Putin says he wants all of Ukraine. Trump tries to blame Ukraine. Trump sets a new deadline. Deadline passes. Putin offers meetings, negotiations. Meetings occur in which Putin says he wants all Ukraine. Trump tries to blame Ukraine. Trump sets new deadline.
The American dream has changed. Forget the white picket fence. For most Americans, the real dream is getting out of debt. If you're feeling the pressure from rising prices, mounting credit card debt, and just trying to stay afloat, I want you to know that there is a way out. Done with debt. They have one goal: break you free from debt permanently. They're not pushing loans or bankruptcy. Instead, their tough negotiators go straight to your creditors, slashing what you owe, wiping out interest, and eliminating penalties. They don't stop until your debt is gone. And the best part, most clients see more money in their pocket in the first month. You've worked too hard to let debt steal your future. With Done With Debt, your dream of being debt-free is actually possible. Visit donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their experts. It's completely free, but some of their solutions are time sensitive, so don't wait. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com.
I guess number 13 would be, then Trump posts a meme. America's back. America's back how? You've made things so much worse right now, Donald. And people are pissed from West Virginia to California to Tennessee to blue states, red states. People are livid at what your regime is doing. Now, you could have all of your, fake economists or just BS economists show up in the White House and start pointing at charts and saying, you see, our economy is better than what it was under Biden. Look at our charts. Look at the red line. It isn't. We all know if you exist outside of a MAGA mush brain truth social world, if you go into the real world and you buy things, if you go into the real world and you're getting bills, if you go into the real world and you're seeing what's happening to the economy, if you run a business, if you work for a business, you know that things are worse. That's just the reality of what we're living in right now. I think this point shouldn't get a pass either, that this past week, J.D. Vance had the Army Corps of Engineers raise water levels in an Ohio river so he can improve the kayaking conditions for his birthday outing. He's been on a perpetual vacation, literally the whole last 3 months. He's just been one vacation spot to another vacation spot. Jojo from Jersey, I think, has a good post here where she goes, if Kamala Harris used our tax dollars to raise a river's water level so that her family kayak vacation would be more fun, Fox would be running that shit on a loop 24/7 for 2 weeks straight. Not just Fox. I think it would be a main scandal on CNN, on MSNBC, on all news networks across the country. They would talk about it. The kayaking gate. And I bet you she would have to resign for it. I bet you they would force her out. If she forced the Army Corps of Engineers to raise water levels, 100% she would be forced out, have to resign. But this is the stuff that when it comes to our corporate news complicit media, they give the Trump regime a pass. Oh, that's just JD being JD. That's just Trump being Trump. He just covers up for sex traffickers. That's just what we do here. No, No, not here at the MeidasTouch Network. We call this crap out because this stuff is disgusting, despicable, criminal, and heinous. And we know how you feel about it. You feel the way we feel about it. This is enraging. That's why the people are pissed. We're enraged because we're like, why aren't you covering this criminality, these grotesque, vile traitors, the way they need to be called out, and call them what they are? Just say it. Like I just did. Just say it. I want to remind you of this. It was February 23rd, 2024 that former President Biden posted this. 1 year after I touched down in Kyiv, Ukraine still stands. When Putin ordered his tanks to roll into Ukraine, he thought he would roll over, but the Ukrainians were too strong. Our coalition too unified, and democracy too durable. Let's keep proving him wrong. Just think about the image. Trump inviting Putin into, you know where, Alaska. On the other hand, Biden going to Kyiv in the middle of the war, shaking hands with Zelensky. Here, play this clip. And here, just to remind you, former President Biden said, history will judge harshly those who turn their back on freedom's cause. Play this clip.
History will judge harshly those who turn their back on freedom's cause. Today, Ukraine's freedom is on the line. But if we don't stop Putin, it'll endanger the freedom of everyone, almost everywhere. Putin will keep going, and would-be aggressors everywhere will be emboldened to try to take what they can by force. Mr. President, I'll not walk away from Ukraine, and neither will the American people. A clear bipartisan majority of people across the United States and in Congress support your country. They understand, as I do, that Ukraine's success and its ability to deter aggression in the future are vital to security for the world at large. And I have repeatedly made clear from our first day in office, we also need Ukraine to make changes to fix the broken immigration system here. We also need Congress to make the changes to fix the broken immigration system here at home. My team is working with Senate Democrats and Republicans to try to find a bipartisan compromise, both in terms of changes in policy and provide the resources we need to secure the border. Compromise is how democracy works.
And here's the individual turning his back on freedom's cause, but whose back was always turned towards freedom's cause, who always was on Putin's side, and who always was one of the most cancerous and most vile pests on America in the history of our nation. And probably the worst thing to ever happen to our country, frankly, the world, is probably this vile piece of trash, Donald Trump. Here, play this clip.
Now, President Zelensky has to get all of his everything he needs, because he's going to have to get ready to sign something, and I think he is working hard to get that done.
Will Zelensky have to give up territory, Mr. President?
Well, you're looking at territory that's been fought over for 3.5 years with, a lot of Russians have died, a lot of Ukrainians have died. So we're looking at that, but we're actually looking to get some back and some swapping. It's complicated. It's actually nothing easy. It's very complicated, but we're going to get some back. We're going to get some switched. There'll be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both. And but we'll be talking about that either later or tomorrow or whatever.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
New Midas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.